City, and I like to play basketball and listen to music.
I'm Jacob Perkett. I'm from St. Louis. And I like popcorn.
I'm Tommy, I'm from Minnesota, and I like to party.
I'm Eric, I'm from St. Louis, and I like to play soccer.
I'm Ryan, I'm from St. Louis, and I love the blues.
I'm Jacob Legate. I like to ride my bike.
Okay, so our semester-long process was a coalition report on Andrew County. It was a great experience. We learned a lot, and hopefully our opinions will make a difference in the community and we'll take it into account. So Andrew County is located in the upper west tip of Missouri. The rural area is very open and home to many agricultural businesses. The county consists of 7 cities. So we headed to Savannah, the current county seat, to get all the information that we need. When you arrive in Savannah, Missouri, not much is there. Small town with a town hall in the middle and small businesses surrounding it. It was known to be a food desert, meaning that it was an inconvenience for many of the residents to get food. So when we're talking about concerns, I touched on the environmental concerns of Savannah and Andrew County in whole. The largest concern was their sewer systems. When it was built way back in 1848, it was built with very simplistic sewer systems, which has caused a problem for expansion of the city, which is why they don't have like a long or target per se. There's currently only 5,000 residents there in Savannah, so it is very manageable with their sewer systems that they have at the time. Therefore, a lot of people that we spoke to would like to see the city expand and increase in population, but the sewer systems are not up to date to handle a higher or a bigger population. Another concern that came up from the environmental standpoint was pollution. The pollution rates have been known to be very bad in the recent years in Savannah. This is very much due to the large trucks that come in and out every day, and the large agricultural machinery such as tractors, crop dusters, and and then another topic that came up very often was the house zoning issue. As of right now, the house zoning issue is that the laws and regulations are very lenient on what you can do and what your property looks like. This goes either or, whichever way. Some people like it, some people do not. One story that came up to mind was the pig farm story. A man decided to open up a pig farm in his backyard. Many of his neighbors were okay with it due to that many of the residents do have farm life. Little did they know that the pig numbers grew to an increasing amount day by day. It grew to the point where there's so many pigs, the owner could not manage his livestock anymore. It began to smell and got out of control. They smelt it within miles away and rose many concerns within the community. They took it to the man first, and with consultation with him, he refused to get rid of the pigs, so they took it to the town hall. Savannah laws do not do anything, or cannot take away any property away from someone. So this created a lot of concerns in the community.
So, out of all the issues that we ran into in Savannah, the most prevalent issue in schools and youth of the community was vaping and nicotine addiction. This has been a known problem around the world, and it's accelerating at a rapid rate pretty much everywhere. It's a big problem for schools because it's hard to regulate, especially with the easy access of it. The easy access of vapes and Juuls through older friends is creating a problem for children who are blind to the negative effects of vaping. The sad thing is that the perception of vaping nowadays is that it's cool and that the older people do it, and so why not just do it, while people don't really realize the negative effects that they're actually getting themselves into. Juuls and many other vaping devices have been perceived as something that's normal now compared to back a couple of years, like 10 years ago, it was nothing compared to now. The American Lung Association states that consumption of nicotine in any particular form during adolescence causes lasting cognitive and behavioral problems, including negative effects on memory and attention. Also, in many cases, vaping serves as a gateway for teens and preteens using other tobacco products such as cigarettes. So while it's a problem right now, it could also be a much bigger problem in the future. While this is a known problem all around America, Savannah schools especially are having big problems with vaping on school property. We met with Stephanie Merritt at Savannah Middle School to discuss their main health issues, and it was pretty much behind suicide, which has always been an issue, and mental health. Vaping was their biggest issue that they're dealing with right now. The vaping epidemic has been leaving teachers and faculty scratching their heads because they don't realize why people would do such a thing because they grew up differently. There have been multiple cases of students at Savannah Middle School getting caught vaping in classes or bathrooms, and with some students a recurring problem. Stephanie told us about how one student has been caught multiple times and doesn't learn his lesson at all, and he describes himself to be as addicted to it. School faculty can't really do anything about it, even though they think they can. There's not much you can do. They can stress the negative effects of vaping all they want, but either way they cannot control the decisions the students will make when they go home. Because of this, schools must do everything they can to promote healthy living and negative effects of things like vaping. So going into that, the first thing we noticed when we walked into the school was a big sign on the door that said "Juuls are for fools." And Stephanie told us that each classroom made different banners to hang on their doors that would promote healthy living. While we love this idea, we feel like putting a large picture of a Juul on the door in a classroom, in a lunchroom, may not be the best way to do it. As a group, we all agreed that growing up, we had absolutely no idea what vaping was, and it wasn't really until closer to high school that we actually learned how popular it was. That shield that we had from vaping until we were in high school helped us realize the real negative effects of it once we actually learned what it was. We were at an age where we were matured enough to realize the effects it can have on the body. While we know it is important to address the issues at hand, we feel like putting a large picture of a Juul in front of young children while they're at lunch is only going to make them more curious about the issue. If you grow up around something when you're very young, it only becomes more and more normal to you. So this is why we think that rather than putting something out there for everybody in the middle school, it'd be smarter to just target those kids that you know have problems with it and sit them down one-on-one and stress the negative effects to them. But when it comes to the whole school, especially younger middle schoolers who don't even know what it's about, why expose them to something like that? Whether you're telling them it's negative or not, if they don't even know about it yet. We love how the school is promoting healthy living, and we love the idea of each class coming up with their own ideas. But we think for the sake of the younger students, these banners should have been focused on positive ways of being healthy rather than negative things to avoid. The Andrew County Health and Safety Coalition took a county-wide survey about what people thought was the biggest health concerns for the county. And as you guessed it was vaping. The reason vaping has become so popular is because of the easy access to obtaining vapes and little regulation there is behind it. Right now, you only need to be 18 to purchase vapes in Andrew County. In certain cities, it's 21, but right now in Andrew County, it is still 18. And the number of young students who know somebody that's 18 compared to the students that know someone that's 21 is a lot different. So I think the first step, even though we think we can do a lot, is government regulation and making it 21. But as of right now, until that happens, our best bet is to just push it away from children as far as we can. Don't press issues on them that they don't need to know about already, and address the people that really need it most, that have been caught vaping before.
Another issue we came across in our site visit to Savannah was the fact that there is no hospital in Andrew County. For the accessibility for healthcare, the citizens described it as manageable from Savannah, but anywhere outside or in the rural areas, it's very difficult. Savannah is located only 15 miles away from St. Joseph's, which contains all the modern healthcare needs, a hospital and doctor's offices, and as well as dental but within Andrew County, there is only 2 primary care physicians. That ranks extremely low compared to the state and national average, where the per 100,000 population is only 11.5 primary care physicians compared to the state average of 70.6 and the national average of 75.6. There are 2 medical clinics where these primary care physicians are held, and they're only in Savannah. There are no addiction or substance abuse centers and 4 mental health providers. On the issue of primary care physicians, it is not just a problem in Andrew County, it is a problem in rural America. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, 46 million Americans live in rural areas. That's roughly 15% of the country's population. With a physician shortage across the country, there is need for training and solutions for graduate students and undergraduate students in medical school. With such a low access to primary care physicians, Andrew County residents are put at a greater risk of future health concerns. According to a study from the Council on Graduate Medical Education, an increase of 1 primary care physician per 10,000 people leads to a 5% decrease in outpatient visits, a 5.5% decrease in inpatient admission, and a 10.9% decrease in emergency room visits, and a 7.2% decrease in surgeries. With limited access to health care, the health problem only gets worse. Another issue that we had noticed was transportation to healthcare. There's only 3 ambulances in a 361 square mile county, and they are only for emergency room visits. As far as mental health provision, there's 4 mental health providers in Savannah. This is a concern because rural America is already at risk because of factors such as poor diet, lack of exercise, and obesity. The addition of mental health issues such as depression and anxiety can only increase these factors. In a study by the Journal of Health Psychiatry, it's found that rural adolescents with depression are at 2.5 times more likely risk of developing obesity than non-depressed adolescents. Some solutions to this would be telemedicine. Savannah has a very good internet infrastructure, and Andrew County as a whole has good cellular coverage. With telemedicine, people are able to receive mental health care remotely from their home.
Okay. So I'm going to be covering mental health. Mental health is a nationwide crisis, but it's important to solve this crisis by narrowing the scope in which you focus on and building upon that. Mental health is a problem that troubles the people of Andrew County, frankly. And our project site visit to Savannah, Missouri, we were able to gain more insight into this issue and other issues that are troubling Andrew County and counties across Missouri when it comes to mental health. In the state fiscal year of 2017, 100 Andrew County residents received treatment for serious mental illnesses at publicly funded facilities. And we're actually kind of just trying to figure out whether that number is a good number, whether it should be much higher, and seeing whether or not they're underfunded. So So the hardest challenge researchers face when coming to mental health is defining what is unhealthy and what is healthy. Confirmation bias plays a large role in how research is done and how it is evaluated. So the biggest question you need to ask yourself when analyzing data is, how do you decide what is a mentally healthy day versus an unhealthy mental day? So we saw, though, that in terms of Andrew County, as any other county, it does have struggles with mental health. Suicide, in the terms of Missouri, is the second leading cause of death for ages 10 to 34. And it's apparent from this data that the youth are struggling the most with maintaining a healthy state of mind. A multitude of factors has led to young people having more mental health issues. Some people could blame it as smartphones being a problem. Others could blame it as just too much information getting thrown at kids that normally wouldn't have had that thrown at them at such a young age. Just to say a few statistics that might surprise you, so from 2009 to 2017, major depression among 20 to 21-year-olds has more than doubled, rising from 7% to 15%. Depression surged 69% among 16 to 17-year-olds. Serious psychological distress, which includes feelings of anxiety and hopelessness, jumped 71% among 18 to 25-year-olds from the years 2008 to 2017. And twice as many 22 to 23-year-olds have attempted suicide in 2017 compared to 2008. And to narrow the focus a little more, the year 2018 found our county that we studied having 4 residents dead from suicide. And a more specific anecdote we can relay is from Stephanie Merritt, the principal of Savannah Middle School. Stephanie told us of a middle school, talking to her saying that, I didn't think much of it at time, but this boy in my class said that he wanted to kill himself and no one would even notice. Stephanie, the principal, immediately got on the phone and contacted the mother of the child. And later on in the day, I actually talked to one of the boy's teachers, and the teacher remembered him saying that day that he wishes he would just get detention so that he could stay longer at school and not have to go home. It seems like a lot of these mental health problems actually come from problems from the family, and it's very important for us to be able to train our parents and train our teachers with suicide training so that they're able to pick up on some of these red flags that the students show. Oftentimes, a student will give out many red flags as a sign of help, as a sign of, hey, I really need some help here, but I can't figure this out on my own. And a lot of kids don't receive any attention, so then they resort to suicide as they see that as the only option for this temporary problem, which is really just a permanent solution, that is suicide. And another thing is that, so the problem people often run into when it comes to receiving mental health is having access to proper mental health counselors or physicians. For example, Stephanie, the middle school principal, explained how she spoke with one of the counselors recently and asked her how her day was. The response was, I've dealt with 5 kids all day. One would come in with high anxiety and crying, and I would calm them down just to open my door immediately to another kid with similar anxiety issues. These are middle schoolers that are experiencing high rates of anxiety and stress that a 13 or a 12-year-old should never experience. And the principal also mentioned that she has noticed this being a problem more than ever in the last 2 years. And just the biggest thing about this is figuring out a solution, asking ourselves, is it a problem? Is it another counselor we need? Is it more education? Some of these problems seem simply unsolvable. Stephanie Merritt, the principal, plans to have a new on-site counselor for the middle school by partnering with Northwest Health Services. And this would be different than normal counseling where a kid would be pulled from class to go to a different class. Normally, a kid would get pulled from the class and have to have their parents pick them up, take them to a counseling place, pay an exorbitant amount of money for it, and then have to bring them back to class. But now the principal plans to actually have counselors at the school. And just in conclusion, the biggest issue that troubles us is our healthcare system not providing adequate mental health care to the people that need it.
All right, so I studied the nutritional effects in Andrew County and obesity, overweight, and physical activities, particularly in youth. So Andrew County actually ranks far below the Missouri average when it comes to obesity, which is a very good thing. However, in a survey we took, a survey that was taken of all the Andrew County residents, obesity was the 3rd highest problem. And there's many factors that go into obesity. but one thing that we believe is a good thing for Andrew County is that they have a significant access to fruits and vegetables. We believe this is because it's a very rural county and they have a lot of farms, so they can get a lot of good produce very fresh and easy. And also all the neighboring counties, such as Buchanan, DeKalb, and Holt, were also far below the state average in terms of obesity. So we believe this is because of the healthy options that they have. One problem though is that there's a lack of food options in the county. So since the Apple Market supermarket closed, now the entire county just has one supermarket and only one convenience store for an entire county. And they also hardly have any restaurants, and the restaurants that they do have aren't very healthy, such as Pizza Shop and Dairy Queen. So this forces a lot of the members of the county to go get food in other counties, particularly in St. Joe's, that has a Walmart, a Hy-Vee, and 3 big Green Hill supermarkets. They also have many healthy restaurants and plenty of choices. So a lot of the county goes to another county to get their food. So not only does this hurt the residents as they have to travel just to have some food options, when they spend money in other taxes, when they spend money in other counties, it hurts Andrew County because the tax revenue doesn't go there. And one problem we found with Andrew County is that although the adults are far below the average in activity, youth is actually above the average in inactivity. And we believe this is because one reason is the advancement of smartphones, video games, and electronics. A lot of kids are staying inside and playing video games, which has become a big problem as in the whole country. It's not just Andrew County. But one reason they're doing that is because Andrew County doesn't have much to offer for them, particularly in the winter. So there's 2 major parks that they use, and one of them is Messick Park, and that one offers a swimming pool, a basketball court, a baseball field, and multiple playgrounds. And there was one other park that was more geared towards little kids with just a playground. So this is a great thing that they have these parks, but there are 2 main problems that I found with it. One is that during the winter, it's a Missouri winter, so it's long and harsh, so there's just not much for the kids to do because they can't play outside. So this forces them to spend all their time inside, which is a big problem. The high school has one gym, but they're being used for basketball and volleyball during the winter for all their teams, so they don't have space. So only the kids there are getting their exercise. And we believe that a rec center would be a huge addition to the county, so that these kids could have a place to play inside during the winter months and for the whole year. If they had like indoor basketball courts, they were free to use, or racquetball courts, or indoor swimming pool, it would just be a huge benefit to the county. There is one gym that's open, and it's 24/7, which is great, but it only has a weight room and a few treadmills, so it's just hard for kids to. That's not really what kids do. Overall, Andrew County is in very good health, but it's mainly just the kids. Kids aren't doing enough. They're not getting enough exercise, but the nutrition is great. The obesity is low, which is a good sign. Babies are born at the right weight, which is a problem for Missouri as a whole. And overall, Savannah and Andrew County is in good health.
So for the next area of our research, we looked into underage substance abuse in Andrew County. So for the survey we've been referring to earlier, 16% of community members said they were concerned with the impact of substance abuse on Andrew County. Also would like to thank North North Andrew Middle School and High School counselors, Savannah High School counselors, and then people working for First Baptist Church in the Andrew County Health Department for helping with our research. So, like any problem, intervention efforts to stop some of these crises, it's hard unless you reach the community, schools, families. You can't just talk to one person and have them solve the problem. So if there isn't a shared perception about underage drinking in the county, then it's gonna be tough to solve the problem. So not only in Andrew County, but in America, all over, underage drinking and substance abuse is almost a social norm and accepted. There's also various other things that can precipitate substance abuse. It could be child abuse, poverty, other environmental factors that could increase the likelihood of underage drinking and substance abuse. And then one problem I found while doing our research is there is much more available information on the state and country or national level and not enough on the county. So this kind of makes it hard to solve problems whenever there's less information out there. So also a cool thing that they're doing in Andrew County next semester, so January 2020, is North Andrew Middle School and High School participate in a drug prevention program called Too Good for Drugs. And this program is going to be directed by North Andrew counselor Kelsey Meyer. So there's going to be like role plays and guest speakers and just a program to raise the awareness overall about substance abuse, and hopefully it will impact the families and the community as well, because it's easy to reach an individual, but it's hard to reach the whole community and change a whole perception. So that's the goal with that. So like I said, there's a lot of national statistics, but there's not as many at the county level. But we can take some of these national statistics and kind of see what they mean and see if we can come up with solutions for the county level. So overall, underage drinking has gone down, especially over the last 10 years. It was a lot more prevalent 10 years ago than it was now. About 30% of high school students in the country currently say they're drinkers and report themselves drinkers. And that number only goes up to 32 in Missouri. So I mean, we're kind of on the national average. One thing that I found alarming while doing my research was 18% of high school students reported they drank alcohol before the age of 13, which to me is pretty alarming. That's a little bit higher than the US average at 16%. So I think that is something that needs to be improved upon. I think that's a parenting, family type issue. Individuals at 13 aren't aware of their decisions, so that's other people putting that on them, I believe. So we move on, we look at like school discipline and legal discipline for students that got involved with substance abuse, and there's really not much there. There's not much high school involvement, and then on the legality side of it, like, there's not many people getting in trouble for these sort of things, yet they report doing them. So I'm not sure whether there needs to be more awareness or I think it's more of just getting everybody more aware about the problem and then actually dealing with the problem. So then a little bit more research. The hospitalizations related to substance abuse is increasing in Andrew County over the last 3 years. It's also increasing in the neighboring counties. Buchanan County is one, and it's actually decreasing in the country, so that kind of goes against most of my research that I found. And then finally, there are tons and tons of resources that you can take advantage of. There's actually not many in Savannah, Missouri. There's places called the Family Guidance Center, and then Preferred Family Adolescent Program, those just to name a few. But there's also like national helplines that you can call, and also I found alcohol abuse therapy. It's like 3 or 4 women who own their own company who help people that find themselves in substance abuse problems.